Hello and welcome back to Mac at the Movies. This week I'll be reviewing for you the film Scream 7. This was released February 27th, 2026 by Paramount Pictures and directed by Kevin Williamson, who had only ever had one credit under his directorial belt, and that was Teaching Mrs. Tingle. I hadn't seen that movie since VHS back in the day when I rented it from Worsham's Market. It's a little kind of mom and pop market that I used to rent videos from back a long time ago. But this was the only other film under that director's belt that I was able to find. A lot of producer credits, a lot of writer credits, but that was the only directorial credit. Huge cast in this one, and with a huge cast comes a huge body count. This movie's a little bit of a bloodbath, if you will. Reprising the role of Stu Macher, we have Matthew Lillard, of course, coming back. The Scream Queen herself, Sidney Campbell. We have Sidney Prescott, Nev Campbell. We have McKenna Grace, Isabel May, Anna Camp, Asa Gurman. We have reprising the role of Gail Weathers, Miss Courtney Cox. We have Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding returning as the twins. Randy's niece and nephew from 5 and 6. Ethan Embry's in the film, which I didn't recognize the first time I saw him. It wasn't until the credits, and I was just kind of like, holy crap, that was like, I was trying to pinpoint because he looked familiar, but he looked so different from how I remember him in Empire Records and That Thing You Do. So it was kind of it was definitely a different, got a dirt bike or something driving by, but definitely a role I didn't recognize him in. Joel McHale's in this film. I saw him, and the first thought that went through my mind was Jeff Winger. I'm a huge Community fan, and that was the first thing I thought of. Sam Reckner's in this film. Mark Consuelos is in this film. He was Veronica's dad in Riverdale. Michelle Randolph and Celeste O'Connor. And there are many more, but that's just kind of what Google gave me off the top end. But again, huge cast, huge body count. Just like all the other Scream films, this one starts out with the intended death of somebody at the beginning of the film. Who's ever in the beginning of a Scream film is not lasting very long, with the exception of Jenna Ortega's character. She survived. But Ghostface returns, and so does Sidney in this film. She was absent from the last one in New York, which gets mentioned a lot in this film. It's often referenced out of jest and different things like that, but it does get brought up. The film starts out with a couple coming to Stu Macher's former house, which is now an Airbnb, and that's sort of where the start of the movie takes place. They enter the house, and they have all the crime scenes like taped up. They have where somebody died taped out on the floor, sort of like a chalk outline. And as you're entering and walking through the house, you have a mannequin of Ghostface that's like robotic and moves and talks with a voice. You get a phone call that's, what's your favorite scary movie? Answer these questions or die kind of thing as part of the whole Airbnb package. Chair. But Ghostface returns to Sydney, returns after Sydney. And it's kind of an interesting story, moving along to the twist ending that we all know and love. I was kind of hoping that they could have kept the cast from 5 and 6 to return for this film because I think it would have benefited moving along the storyline. And I almost feel like we didn't necessarily need Stu to return. As much as I love Matthew Lillard, I don't think it would have benefited him to return in this film. I know originally he was supposed to return for Scream 3, but I think Columbine happened. Something happened that kept him from doing Scream 3, and they had to do all sorts of rewrites for it. But I was what I'd really like is Mickey to return. I feel like, especially in the last movie in Scream 6, he was kind of snubbed in the whole like murder museum, the museum of Ghostface, and he didn't get talked about that I can recall, and I was a little annoyed by that. And in this film too, you get a lot of reference to older Ghostface killers, and in this one again, Mickey's snubbed, and that kind of sucks. I wish they would have, brought him back into the mix some way, shape, or form, and they could have. One of the things that Scream does is Scream keeps up with the times. And something that takes place in this film is the use of AI. And so when Stu returns, Sidney believes that, this could be like a deep fake. Her husband, played by Joel McHale, he's an officer, is like, well, they're deep faking everything nowadays, so it could be a deep fake. And so you get this like use of AI, and because of the use of AI, you get a lot of misdirection, even by people who are trying to help and be useful for something. It gets spun around just as misdirection. So in this film, like you've heard from Randy in the past, everybody's a suspect. And when I say everybody's a suspect, I literally mean like even the people you least suspect in this film, suspect. And they all seem that way, but it doesn't turn out that way. It's almost like everyone you think is a suspect dies. So just, it's definitely an interesting concept of how they decided to steer this film. At one moment, we do get Ghostface attacking Sidney and her family at their home, and you find that Sidney has an escape room now. Like, she's gone through this enough. She finally puts an escape room in her house to kind of like a panic room, not an escape room, a panic room. And it also seems like nobody calls the cops in this film. I get her husband's a cop, and at times brings other cops with him. But when it really hits the fan, no one calls the cops. Or the cops just are really slow, or, I don't know, away from their phones when anything takes place. Because anytime a cop's called, nobody shows up. If somebody breaks a window and an alarm goes off, nobody shows up. It's not until like something serious happens, like somebody's already died, does a cop show up. So it's kind of it was an interesting thing to see how involved the police were in the film, as one of the main characters was a cop. But again, when they were needed, they were nowhere to be found. I don't know if that's, that could be a sort of a jab at real life. I don't know. But it definitely seems that in the panic room, not once did they think to call the cops. Or when they do call the cops, instead of working together and getting in a car and driving to where they need to go, everyone runs. People are just running places. No one's staying where they need to be or to stay safe. Nobody's thinking in this film. At least in the first film, when there was a curfew, people stayed in place. And if more people stayed in place, less would have happened. So it's kind of it's kind of interesting. In the first film, there was the idea of, I guess, if you stayed in place during curfew, you were doomed. But in this film, it's like if you do whatever you want to during curfew, you're doomed. It's like a weird back and forth that I noticed in this film. It's not as gruesome as the last film. That's one thing I did like. It kind of took it back some. But when you get that final death, I did laugh out loud a little bit right there. The whole shoot him in the head scene. I mean, they didn't miss the mark. And so that scene was definitely funny. I again don't want to talk much about it or give away who the killers are. But I definitely found it quite interesting. Again, like the motives, the reason behind everything in this film didn't seem very clear to me. Even though they tell you exactly what it is, it almost seemed like I didn't see the point of the motive. Again, if something were to have come back with Mickey, I think that would have been a perfect motive. We would have taken away the whole last two films. We're not following those two girls anymore and their storyline, which I hope come back to finish that storyline off maybe in the next film. But I think this film, I think they scrambled to fix this film after the departure of the two actresses and the director. And I think they scrambled, and what they found is they could bring Stu back. And they did that, but I really wish, I think they could have made it a lot better if they had a return back with Mickey. Especially with him being snubbed in the last film. I think that with this one, it would have, I think some people would have been like, who the heck is that? Wait a minute, what? Where this one just kind of seemed forced. It was like, we have to have characters. We're going to make them, I guess, ominous enough to not think that they are who they're going to be. So it kind of, the whole thing kind of threw me off. But it was a good movie. It was a good movie, and I definitely say check it out. I find that this film, I give it a solid 2 out of 5 stars. I feel like it's somewhere in between Scream 4 and Scream 6. In my count of like favorite Scream films, I feel like it's somewhere around in there, because the whole Sydney not being in 6 kind of bummed me out. I wish she could have been in that. And I feel like the studio not, really coming up to bat for Nev Campbell's paycheck for that film. I think it took some away, and they really had a sort of scramble in a sense to get things done, and to make up for that, they made it an even harsher film. But this film, I don't know, it sort of lacked something that the other films have, and I'm not sure what that is. It seemed to me maybe a lack of creativity. Again, I thought it was a good film, but I mean, it's somewhere down there with like Scream 4 and like sandwiched in between that and Scream 6. And I say Scream 6 because of some of the death scenes were, especially the final death scene that you get, it was just mwah, perfect. But that, you know, where that's what I'm thinking. It was kind of brutal, the final death scene. But I don't know. I felt like this film did lack a lot in creativity, and they could have pulled something out that was a little better. Again, I'm a big fan of Scream 2, and I think that getting Mickey to return would definitely do something for the franchise. I did like, there was a nod. At one point in time, they go to a psych ward. Gail and Sydney go to a psych ward to see about somebody. And when they're looking in the room of a suspect, trying to figure out who a person is, X, Y, and Z, you see a picture of a framed photo of Tori Spelling on his dresser, and I got a good laugh out of that. I think I was the only person that caught it in the theater because nobody else laughed with me. But I like that nod to the whole Stab franchise, like internal to Scream. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Like, you know, Scream 4 is my least favorite Scream film, and I still enjoy it. So, you know, I have to be true to how I want to rate this. So, like with Scream 4, I'm giving this one a 2. How I believe I would rate Scream 4. I think a little higher of Scream 6, so that's why I'm kind of in between, like it's sandwiched there, but I definitely wish they would have brought Mickey back. This review is kind of going on longer than I anticipated, but maybe if somebody from the studio's listening in, maybe we'll get a cameo from Mickey in the next film. I think that would be nice. We'll get the sisters back to finish their storyline with the, you know, psychotic brain image of Billy Loomis in the daughter's head type deal, like the weird internal ghost that is her father's spirit lurking in the abyss of her consciousness. But I would definitely like to see a return of Mickey. I feel it's kind of like a bummer that he gets snubbed, but we shall see. Anywho, if you saw the movie this weekend, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the film. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think like me and you didn't know where to kind of arrange it in the Scream ethos? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Bye.